तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे वक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि तन्नो दन्दिः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ जयन्ते मङ्गलकाली भद्रकाली कपालिनी दुर्गा क्षमा शिवदात्री स्वाहा स्वदा नमोस्तुते। ॐ शांति शांति शांति। Sairam Lin, Sairam from Malaysia.
Sairam Sharma, Sairam from New Zealand, and welcome to our listeners. We have listeners now in Italy and Germany, France, and India, Australia, Canada, USA. We are so delighted, Sharma and I. We feel Swami is happy, and we'd like to welcome you all. Thank you, Swami, for allowing us to share yet another story of your marvel and your glory. The topic tonight is, that photo is so mesmerizing. Now, all of us at some stage will have seen a photo of Swami, perhaps before we went to see him in Prashanti, or before we became aware of his existence on earth. For Mata Betty, she remember, she was a practicing Catholic in her little town of Wairoa, and one day she had never heard of Swami, but she went to visit a friend, and that friend had a tiny photograph of Swami on the mantelpiece. This is where you have a fireplace in our houses here in New Zealand. It was a tiny picture. Believe it or not, it was the size of a postage stamp. And yet, Mata was absolutely drawn to that photo like a bee to honey. She couldn't take her eyes off of it, even though there were many other little objects and photographs and little ceramic statues, candlesticks, a clock on the mantelpiece. She could not take her eyes off this tiny picture. And she said to the lady of the house, "Who is this? I must know, who is this? I cannot take my eyes off it." The lady said, "That is Sathya Sai Baba. He is in southern India, and some people say he is God returned to earth, like Jesus, but bigger." Mata said, "I must go see him." And she rushed home to her husband saying, Jim, God is here. Pack our bags. We're going to India." Of course, her loving husband thought that she had lost her equilibrium, and he was such a gentleman. Mata said he put his hand on her arm and began stroking it like a kitten, saying, "It's all right, hon. Let's put the kettle on and have a cup of tea." But within that year, they were both on their way to be at Swami's feet. How mesmerizing his photo can be. And surely this happened to my husband and I. In 1987, we were just beginning to buy a few books about Swami. There was not much available. But we bought Sam Sandweiss's book, Holy Man and the Psychiatrist, because we wanted books by Western writers. No criticism of books from India. It was just that the books coming from India had so many Sanskrit words in, and some of the books did not have a glossary. So we had trouble understanding what some of the books were telling. So we began looking for books by Western devotees. There was not much. There was Hislop's book, My Baba and I, and there was Dr. Sandweiss's book, Holy Man and the Psychiatrist, were the only two we could get. Oh, and Howard Murfitt. We found books by Howard. So we then, I was very, very attracted to a photograph that was on the back of Dr. Sandweiss's book, Holy Man and the Psychiatrist. It was an oval medallion, a photo of an oval medallion that Swami had materialized with an image, the true image of Lord Shiva. And Swami had said, "This is the true look of Lord Shiva." Now, I was absolutely riveted by this photo. I couldn't take my eyes off it. I looked at it every night before I went to sleep. And I thought, what a beautiful being this is. I didn't even know who Lord Shiva was in those days. I didn't know who any of the Indian deities were. But I was absolutely spellbound by this photo. And if Swami said, this is how he really looks, that means he's real. That means Lord Shiva is real. And of course, Swami has this incredible ability to materialize photos of the gods and goddesses as they really look. And photos of himself in very unusual, divine images. For example, there's one of him atop a Shivaling with the cobras, the many-headed cobra hovering over, protecting it. This photo also riveted my imagination. I didn't know what a lingam was. I didn't even like snakes, but for some reason I could not take my eyes off this photo. And I can honestly say that it was the mesmerizing quality, hypnotic almost, of these photos and of Swami, of course, that drew us to India. Now, Swami seemed to really enjoy producing these photos and also the rings that he often created. There is one that he created for Professor Venkatraman. It is a pendant-shaped oval, and it shows Swami and Prema Sai and Shirdi Baba and Vishnu. It is a majestic and most beautiful ring. It is viewable if you Google Sathya Sai Baba materialized photos on the internet, you will see it. And Swami materialized this for GV, as we called him, Ganesha Venkatraman, we called him GV affectionately. Well, they were all just sitting around talking. Swami just suddenly waved his hand, and out came this magnificent pendant of Lord Vishnu with Swami and Shirdi and the premisai to come. I looked and looked at that image. I was so fascinated by it. And there is a divine power in these photographs. I believe that is what draws us to them. And the photo is like a passport leading us to him. Many people have said to me that they knew nothing about Swami, and then suddenly they were given a book or a photograph, or they saw a photograph, or they happened to be scrolling through the internet, and suddenly his picture came up. And the thing about Swami's photo is you can never forget it. You can't forget his physical appearance. Once our chairman from New Zealand was walking with Swami, I believe it was Christmas time, and he said to Swami, "Swami, you are so beautiful." And Swami said, no, not beautiful, but this body has taken the form which is most appropriate for the age in which I have come and for the mission I have undertaken. Because Swami looks to me like a candle. His beautiful robe and body is like the body of a candle. His face is the flame, and his hair is the halo around the flame. Many times after I went to Prajanti, in the morning, he would step out from a doorway with the sun behind him, lighting up the halo of hair around him. And he looked like a candle. He was ablaze with light. And as he began moving around the darshan area, you could not take your eyes off of his beauty. We thought he was beautiful. Some people look at his photo and say, oh, that must be Jimi Hendrix's grandfather. Or some people have said, oh, he must be a king from the island kingdom of Fiji, because many people in Fiji do have large curly afros. But of course, it's just his picture that mesmerizes us. It is his divine power drawing us to him, constantly drawing. He may take his time, or it may happen overnight, but there is great power in those photographs of Swami. And I can tell you, even when you see him in person, you never, ever forget that form as long as you live. It is mesmerizing. It is enchanting. It is unforgettable love, walking on two legs. Om Shri Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. तस्मात् कारुण्यभावेन रक्ष रक्ष साईश्वर। हरि ओम तत्सत् श्री साईश्वरार्पणमस्तु। ओम शांति शांति शांति।